What up, Kane fans? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. So, unfortunately for all the haters out there, USF failed in their attempt to pull off the huge upset last night. And yes, I'm talking to you, Noel fans and Gator fans online that were united. For one whole week, you guys were united with the South Florida Bulls fans, just hoping and praying that the miracle would happen. No such miracle happened. Basically, yeah, things got a little shaky there in the first half. USF was running their gimmicky plays. They hit us with a couple of trick plays. Grammatica hit a 50 gajillion yard field goal. And yeah, the crowd was into it. And pretty soon they ran out of gas, and Miami just went into full ass kicking mode in the second half. And that's all she wrote. Miami wins by blowout, 50-15. We will dive into that here in a second, but to all the trolls online where, yeah, I know that's like, it's now a thing to, where blatant disrespect is now relabeled as trolling. Now, I'm going to be real with you, talking shit. It's it's a big part of being a sports fan, and it's fun, if you can keep it somewhat respectful and, and it's all in good fun. Hey, I got no problem with that. But when you're calling Miami fans poor and stupid, and those are direct quotes from USF's, you know what, I'm not going to say the name, but it's a prominent sports website or blog or whatever the hell they are. I'll give you a hint. It's the one where the owner is from Boston and he does those stupid pizza reviews online. Yeah, they haven't produced any quality content in years now, and I stopped watching them many years ago. They engagement bait you. That's all they do. They post ridiculous crap that you have to respond to, and to their credit, it works. But yeah, that's all they do. They don't put anything quality out there. And USF's, division of their account was putting out some pretty blatantly disrespectful stuff. And so were the other South Florida accounts out there. I didn't engage with it because I really don't care. But then they get real quiet after Miami put a whooping on their team. And then some of them start coming out saying, oh, well, the game was hours ago. Why are you still talking about it? No, you don't get off that easy. You're going to get this work for the next 5 days from Miami Twitter. So enjoy the taste of it, because y'all deserve it. Just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, back to Miami's dominant performance. Yes, things got a little shaky in the first half there. We marched right down the field with our first possession and got a pretty easy score. So I thought, oh, we're going to run right through this team. But then, Kiko has that bad late hit penalty way out of bounds. They showed the replay. He barely put his hands on him. He barely touched him, but he did put his hands on him. And you got to know better as a veteran player. Like, Kiko knows better than that. I know he's not going to commit a penalty like that again this season, but it was weird coming from him. But you got to know better as a player that if you even breathe on a guy out of bounds, they're going to flop and they're going to get that flag, especially at home. So there was that extended the drive. They ended up getting that long Grammatica field goal and made it 7-3. Grammatica celebrated like he had just won 3 Super Bowls on that field goal. Hey, it was a great kick, but like, chill. So it was 7-3 at that point. They try the surprise onside kick. It ends up going out of bounds. They were offsides anyway. But then USF's pacing, and to their credit, it was an interesting strategy to try to cram in as many plays as possible, to try to wear us out, to try to get us to chase them around the field. And you saw it starting to work and started to pay some dividends. The problem was Miami did a good job kind of putting the clamps down once they were in the red zone. And the problem with that kind of offense, and we saw it here firsthand when Rhett Lashley was our offensive coordinator, is that kind of offense is really reliant on big plays. If you're not getting the big plays, eventually your drive stalls out. All it takes is one negative play, one penalty, one sack, and your drive is done. And we did a good job of doing that, especially once they got to our half of the field, like inside the 30, inside the 25. We did a good job kind of holding them to field goals. And as the announcer said, USF started to pay the price for settling for field goals. So It was 14-12 at one point. Actually, no, 15-14 at one point for the Bulls. They did take a 1-point lead. That was actually the first time Miami has trailed all season long. So kind of in uncharted waters here. So Miami, for the first time all season, it faces some adversity. They got punched in the mouth a little bit with the gimmicky plays and all that stuff. Yeah. And I knew that that was going to be a test this season. And I've been saying it all off season. At some point, Miami is going to have a game where they come out a little flat. They're going to have a couple of games here where they're not bringing their A game, that maybe they bring their C+ game and they have to kind of gut out a victory. Well, that's kind of what happened in the first half. But when you have a quarterback like Cam Ward, we can answer back. And that's what happened. Down 15-14. Sam Brown finally makes a huge play this season. His first big play this season. Cam Ward steps up in the pocket, hit with that 3-quarter delivery, hits a bomb down the sideline to Sam Brown for the touchdown. And we go up 20-15. Then we get the 2-point conversion. And it felt like we were about to pull away. And anytime we had so many chances to pull away earlier in the game, the Jacoby George fumble, which it was labeled an interception, really it should have been a fumble. That was not Cam Ward's fault at all. We're up 7-3 at that point. Jacoby had a chance to score on that play, actually. He had some green grass in front of him, and he was going kind of against the grain. He could have taken it to the house if he catches that cleanly. But unfortunately, he goes to tuck it away. It slips out of his hands right into the defender's hands going the other way. You know, just bad luck. Humidity, the ball is slick. That happens 1 out of 100 times when you're going to tuck the ball away like that. Or maybe 1 out of 1,000 times. The ball just slipped right out. If that doesn't happen, I don't think the first half is even close. I think we pull away, go up 14-3, and the game is pretty much a wrap after that. But it happened. We had to adjust. We had to kind of get our footing a little bit, and we did that. Thankfully, we held after the long screenplay that USF had. That's just, it was a great call against our defense. Our D-line just pinned their ears back and went after the QB. Gidry should have been more prepared. On 3rd and 16, you got to think, okay, a screen is a possibility here. Let me not have all 4 of my guys go so hard after the QB, maybe drop one into coverage, just thoughts for next time. But we end up holding them to a field goal. They missed the field goal. When they missed that field goal, I started to breathe a little bit. I was like, okay, now we got the half. We're going to rest, make adjustments. We're going to get our footing. And then the second half started, and it was literally all Miami. USF got the ball first. We stopped them. It was a quick stop. I don't know if it was a 3-and-out. I think they got 1 first down, but that was it. And then we marched down the field and scored, and then we got to stop. And then we marched down the field and scored, and it just became that for the rest of the game. So great adjustments made. I don't know what Mario told them at the half, but it worked. Great job by him. Great job by the coordinators, and whatever adjustments they made in that locker room, it worked. And our conditioning started to show, because really the downside of USF running that kind of offense is, you're running those plays too. So you also get tired. They're the ones that started cramping up and started getting injured towards the end of the game. By the 4th quarter, it was, like the game felt so long because every other play, somebody was going down with a cramp or something. By the 4th quarter, it was all USF guys going down. Obviously, don't wish injury on anybody. Hope they're all okay. But that showed our conditioning. It happened to a few guys early, middle of the game, but once they got acclimated, it was done. So let's bring up a few stats here. So Cam Ward, again, showing why he's one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy this year. 404 yards. We averaged 9.4 yards per play as an offense. We ended up with almost 600 yards against, a pretty legit opponent. Not going to lie. I knew going in this was going to be a bit of a challenge. Figured we'd win by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns. But this was, I think, our toughest opponent yet, like Cristobal said. And we averaged almost 10 yards per play, which is awesome. 27 first downs to their 23. We were 7 for 9 on 3rd down. Again, that's what a quarterback like Cam Ward can do for you. Now, it helps that it was like a lot of 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s, things like that. So that helps as well. We punted once the entire game. Time of possession, we won time of possession even with all the plays they were running. We had one turnover again, the Jacoby George play. He ended up making up for it later. He had a pretty good game. 188 rushing yards. Most of that came on one play. I'll throw that out there. Little context. Jordan Lyle, 91-yard run by the true freshman in the fourth quarter. Congrats to him. He's already been killing it the first 4 games of his career. He's going to be a problem for the next couple of years. And yeah, that's 592 total yards to their 365. So great performance there. We held them to 62 rushing yards. Eventually, look, they're a running team. If they can only get 62 rushing yards for the whole game, doing those little gimmicky trick plays can only get you so far. You eventually have to kind of assume your identity and do what you're good at. We made them a passing team, and Byron Brown, he can hit some throws down the field. He showed he can do that, but not consistently. So that wasn't going to be a great game plan long-term for them. Let's go to some of the player stats here. Cam, again, 24 of 34. 3 touchdowns. I'm gonna be honest. He had a great game. Overall, great game. He wasn't as sharp as he usually is. Early on, he missed some throws. Again, I think the ball being a little slick had something to do with it. There were a few overthrows, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like a Cam Ward throw. You know what I mean? They were pretty easy throws. They were right there. The guys were open. But, I'm sure the grip of the ball had a little something to do with that. Very muggy, very humid night in Tampa. Rushing, Jordan Lyle, of course, led the way. 6 carries, 104 yards. Cam Ward broke out a few runs himself, 5 carries for 43 yards. Let's see, Damian Martinez, 11 for 31. Not the best day running, but shout out to Damian, 3 touchdowns for him. So good day there. And he also had the 2-point conversion. So he got into the end zone 4 times, actually. So even though it didn't quite show in the stat sheet yards-wise, I thought Damian Martinez played his best game as a Hurricane. He also had 2 catches for 50 yards. Great job by him. Isaiah Horton, wow. I mean, he got NFL scouts' attention last night. Isaiah Horton looks like a potential number 1, the way he played last night. I hope he can keep that up. So he had 8 catches for 108 yards and a touchdown. That's a 13.5 average. X doing his thing, 6 catches for 99, 1 touchdown. Sam Brown, 2 for 75 and a touchdown. Spreading the wealth, which I like to see. Mish Powell had a pick. Jaden Harris leading the way with 6 tackles. Just a lot of good stuff there. A lot of the younger guys were able to get in kind of towards the end there, so that was good. Kick returning, Chris Johnson had 1 really long return, so that was nice. And let's see, that's pretty much it. And Dylan Joyce had his 1 punt for 42 yards. Okay. One thing I want to get into before I get out of here. The officiating. It wasn't as bad as I've seen previously. Believe it or not, it wasn't good. Their management of the game and the fact that the game should not take 4 hours ever, even with all the guys going down with cramps. But they did make some good calls. Miami with the penalties, yes, we do have to clean that up. 11 penalties for, I'll tell you guys right now how many penalty yards. 11 penalties for 113 yards in penalties. Now, you can look at that one of 2 ways. You can look at that as, hey, we had 113. We gave you guys a free football field worth of yards, and we still blew you out. Okay. Back in the day, we could get away with that. Back in the day where we had like 6 first-round picks on each side of the ball. We're getting back to that. They said it during the game. Hey, look, Tyler Barron, Elijah Arroyo, maybe even Cam Ward. A lot of these, there's a lot of potential first-round picks on this. They got some dudes, a lot of potential first, second-round picks on this squad right now. But you can look at it the other way. That, hey, if you're facing a better team, you might not be able to get away with that. And that's true. That's true. So they got to clean that up. Kiko's penalty, that can't happen. The late hits, that has to be cleaned up. I've already seen a couple this year by guys. You're going to be playing in games where we're a little bit more threatened because it's a tougher opponent. You got to be careful there. Got to clean that up. But I will say, out of those 11 penalties, at least 3 of them were absolute bogus calls. Two off the top of my head I can name. There was one that Daryl Porter got called for a defensive PI on Sean Atkins over the middle of the field. The ball looked uncatchable to me. You can go back and look at the replay. If there was no contact there, you wouldn't have caught the ball anyways. That to me is the definition of uncatchable. It seems like they only call uncatchable when the ball's 50 yards away from the receiver. No, is either it's catchable or it's not. And if you look at the replay, yeah, there was a little hand fighting, but it looked maybe to the naked eye that there was a little grab on the hip, but there wasn't. There was no actual grab. So that was a missed call. And the flag came like 10 minutes after the play. Not from the ref that was standing right in front of it, from the ref that was on the other side, like in the other end zone. Okay, so no, that terrible. That happened twice where the ref standing right there didn't call it, but somebody else did. The second one was the one on Jadis Richard late in the game where the game should have been over at this moment. We were up 36-15, if I'm not mistaken. Byron Brown's out of the game. Their backup comes in, 4th and 8, I think. They throw a long pass down the field. Jadis has great coverage, as he had been doing all game. And there was, again, a little hand fighting, whatever. The ref, right 2 feet from the play, says incomplete. I'm like, great. Again, a late flag comes in from the other side of the end zone, and they call pass interference. Late call. It was a bogus call. It was a phantom pass interference. You look at the replay. Yeah, there's hand fighting. That's normal. There wasn't an actual grab of the jersey. There wasn't like he did the grabbing and the receiver did nothing. No, there was hand fighting and maybe like a graze of the face mask because his face mask was tilted up. He didn't grab it. It was absolute nonsense. And then the one that really, those didn't even really bother me that much. The one that really bothered me was when they took a touchdown away from Isaiah Horton. Okay, his butt touches the grass right when the ball, it looks like the nose of the ball is kind of across the plane. The initial call is a touchdown. This is very important. When the initial call is a touchdown, you need conclusive video evidence, meaning without a shadow of a doubt, yes, we got the wrong call, we got to change it. You look at the replay. There was no conclusive video evidence that he didn't cross the plane and score a touchdown. If there's no conclusive evidence, the play must stand. The ref comes out and says, after further review, the player was down and he was down at the half-yard line. First of all, there was no evidence to overturn it, so the play should stand. Second of all, that ball should have been maybe like this far off the goal line if you're going to respot it, not 2 feet back from where he actually was. So that was awful. So I actually don't know if I think it was ACC refs or maybe it was refs from their conference. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now, but whatever. That officiating crew, I'm sorry, you blew at least 3 calls, maybe more. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased. The passing game, again, just shredding an inferior opponent. Markel Bell getting some really valuable playing time. I really hope Ruben Bain, it seems like they're just saving him for ACC play. I really hope the same is the case for Jalen Rivers. Hopefully they're okay. I'm sure they are. I'm sure if they needed to play, they both could have played. I think they're just saving them both for ACC play. That's my opinion. We have the possibility of playing 14, 15, 16 games, whatever it is. Let's say we make the playoffs. Maybe we win a playoff game. Maybe we can make a deep run. You got Cam Ward. You never know. You need to load manage guys. You got to start thinking about that. This is like basically an NFL schedule they're playing now, the guys that make a deep run. So I don't blame them for doing that. I just hope they don't come back too rusty. Bain, I'm sure won't. He's Ruben Bain. But Jalen Rivers, he's an important position. He's a left tackle. So hopefully he comes back, hasn't missed a step. But Markel Bell, the bright side is he's come in, gotten valuable experience. He's going to be really important next year. So that's great for him. Matthew McCoy getting great experience with Inez Cooper out. That's great for him. A lot of, like I said, other young guys played. So hopefully we're a little more healed up next week. You'll see the return of some of those guys. And yeah, 50 to 15, the final score. Miami wins by 35 points. They finish the game with 35 unanswered points. Great stuff by them. Great stuff. I will be on later this week. I'll be on this Tuesday to do my, I guess, some final thoughts on this game and then my preview of Virginia Tech. But it's going to be a big one. Friday night. Hopefully, coming in 4-0, the crowd's going to be pumped. Let's pack the rock. And before I go, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and as always, go Canes. Have a good day, everybody.